and you'll be learning about dynamic quote terms. These are conditional rules that will hide or show different terms and conditions. This is all made possible because of an object called a quote terms and a special type of template content that works like line items but is for quote terms. So let's go ahead and check this out. Click the quote terms link on your All Tabs page. Let's go ahead and add a new quote term. I gave it a print order of 1000. That's because I want it to appear at the bottom of my quote document, which makes sense since it's the terms and conditions. Select the active checkbox. You can always temporarily enable and disable some terms. This is the status field. This is for when you may have legally binding conditions and there may be a process around them. So you have to pick a certain status of whether it's in draft or review, depending on the legal status of the document. Here we have our parent term field. So you may actually have a parent term and you can embed a child term within a parent term or attach a child term to a parent term, depending on what your terms and conditions entail. We have our conditions met because these are dynamic quote terms. You can opt to have what conditions you require to be met in order for a term to display. And finally, the quote the terms are connected to and the standard terms. Let's go ahead and enter our text into the body. We're actually going to go ahead and clone this quote term since we're going to create a few more quote terms that are very similar to this one and may as well use the one we already created. Change the print order to 1010. And then we're also going to change the text in the body to something completely different so you know that it's definitely not the same as the previous quote term. And then go ahead and clone that quote term and change that print order to 1020. We're actually going to go ahead and select a parent term for this quote term. Select our first quote term, QT0000, and change the text in the body to say child term so that we know this is definitely a quote that has a parent term. Let's click on New Term Condition under Use Conditions. I want to go ahead and show you this. So the term conditions is where your summary variables start to come in. So here we have our tested fields. We also have our operators, tested variables, and values. The use cases for these is that perhaps you'd want to add a paragraph on a quoted software product with a summary variable that counts how many lines are in the software product family. And if the variable is greater than 0, then the term will show, and if not, it will not show. This way it can be fully automated. Or if you want to add a paragraph because the client is, perhaps they're located in Europe, and you can put a condition around that. So let's go ahead and click cancel because we're not actually going to add a term condition. I just wanted to show you what you could do with it. Alright, now let's go ahead and go to our template content. Let's go ahead and create some new template content. Luckily, we already have a quote terms type of content, so go ahead and select that one. I just named this template content Dynamic Terms and Conditions, T's and C's, and let's just click Save. Alright, let's go to our quote template so we can create a template section so we can house our dynamic T's and C's template content. Scroll down to the template sections so that we can create a new template section. I name this Dynamic T's and C's since it's housing the Dynamic T's and C's template content. Let's go ahead and give it a display order of 28. Alright, now let's actually associate our template content. Select the Dynamic T's and C's that we just created. Let's create a page break before, save that, and then return to our standard quote template. Scroll down to your print options section. We're going to opt to number our terms. This is where you do this. Alright, so now let's head over to our quote and see what our terms and conditions look like. Alright, here we have our terms and conditions at the end. You'll notice they're numbered. Also, our child term is numbered 1.1. Also, it's labeled child term. That was the text we placed in the body. Let's go ahead and click cancel so we can return to our quote. I want to try something else. So since we're talking about dynamic quote terms, we want to test out how dynamic our quote terms actually are. So let's add a quote terms related list to our quote layout so that we can change around our quote terms as we go. So go ahead and click the blue pop-out menu so we can edit our layout. Click Edit Layout, click Related Lists, drag and drop quote terms into your Related Lists section. Scroll down to your quote terms and create a new quote term. Let's make this print order 500 and make this quote term active. The text in the body will say this quote expires on curly bracket exclamation point quote period SBQQ double underscore expiration date double underscore C curly bracket. That'll fill in a formula that'll auto-populate the date that your quote expires. Go ahead and click clone. We're going to create another quote term. Change this print order to 1010 because we want to dynamically replace one of our other previous quote terms. Let's go ahead and select a standard term. Select quote term 0001. This is the quote term we'll be modifying. Change the text in the body to say modified text. Let's go back to our quote so we can preview our quote document. As you'll see here, now we have our quote term that includes our expiration of our quote, and we also have our dynamic quote that replaced our previous quote term, the one that says modified text, and we still have our child term. And the last thing you'll notice is that our numbers are now altered, where it used to say 1.1 and 1 is now we have 2.1 and 2. So this really shows you the dynamic nature of our terms and conditions. So these terms are fully dynamic and allows you to change items. For example, seek approval from legal if you need that. For your exercise, I'd like you to add the exact same dynamic terms and conditions to your quote template that you saw me demonstrate in this lesson. Good luck!